You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you today. Thankful that you're with us. We're live on CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio, cklu.ca online. You can stream us. Just click on the Radio Player Canada app, or you can also download the Radio Player Canada app. Take us with you. Listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. And along with that, we're also streaming live in video on facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow. We're also on X and Instagram. We're not really, the shows are on demand on Facebook, YouTube, and X, along with Sudbury.news after the show. So there's 4 ways you can find it. Our Instagram and TikTok, let's say, are a work in progress. Other than that, we're doing our best with the one-man show kind of thing on the technical end of things. What won't be a one-man show today is the show itself. We'll have Miles Shields joining us momentarily. He was with us yesterday as well. And we're going to be talking about Sudbury Wolves game, obviously, this morning. They played last night. They won, spoiler alert. But it was an interesting game and a lot of things to take away from the game, no pun intended. We'll break it down a bit. Then there's, I want to talk about the Sunshine List here in Sudbury. There's almost 700 individuals in the city on the Sunshine List making over $100,000 a year. Now, the Sunshine List isn't just any old person making over $100,000 a year. It's a public servant who's making money from your tax dollars who's making over $100,000 a year. So that's an interesting one. And I don't know if everyone was aware of that or not. You hear a lot of people say, oh, the Sunshine List, and you think this might be a blanket list. But no, it's just public servants, people working for government in your city. So anyways, we'll be looking at that this morning and maybe some insights into that and our country as well. The ArriveCan scam kind of thing, they're talking about that. They have some hearings on it, and it's just a bunch of blah, 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 blah kind of stuff, right? Which you would expect, but you would think you wouldn't want that in your country. You would want your country to be law-abiding and have people who are accountable, who are making over $100,000 a year. When they do things that are illegal, you would hope that they would be held accountable. You just would hope that. That's what you would hope. I think most of us hope that, other than the people who aren't being held accountable, right? So let's look a little bit into that afterwards, along with any other news headlines. The leaked document that came out with Ed Archer, the city's CAO, who's also on the Sunshine List, almost makes $300,000 a year himself, gave himself and many other upper management in the city of Sudbury a raise last year, much to the chagrin of City Council. When the document was leaked, there was Natalie Labby and Mike Parent who weren't too happy with that, along with other councillors who never really put their, put it out there what they felt, but you can tell they just were kind of compromised with what they wanted to say. But Mike and Natalie weren't, and they came out publicly and denounced it, and now we're looking at changing the policy of people getting raises in the city. Thankfully. So lots to talk about. Sudbury Wolves, people making a lot of money and not being that accountable, I guess, is the theme of the show. So we'll be back after a little bit of weather and interesting weather too. So welcome aboard and stay tuned. It's going to be a great show. We'll be back right after this. In Sudbury Weather, brought to you as usual by sudburyweather.ca. It's the page for Sudbury Weather that's on our sudbury.news website, which is a news aggregator, which aggregates all the local news into one convenient location. Now that you're not able to share it or consume it on Facebook, which was the the platform of choice before, and the government made that impossible because they wanted me to make more money. It didn't happen, but it's still not on Facebook. Okay, here's your weather today. 0 degrees, feels like -6. The snowfall warning has ended, apparently. So that's good. Nothing to say about that other than it's ended. They had a big red banner on the top here. Today, periods of snow ending this afternoon, then cloudy with a 60% chance of flurries, amount of 2 to 4 centimeters. I was hoping we'd get a little bit more. We didn't get enough yesterday. So wind northeast 30 kilometers, gusting to 50, high +2. And tonight, cloudy with a 60% chance of flurries, and the wind will be gusting up to 40 kilometers and becoming light this evening. Low of -3 tonight. Wind chill -8 overnight. And Friday, cloudy, 60% chance of flurries, so they will continue, changing to a 60% chance of showers. Lucky us, or flurries in the afternoon. Wind will be gusting up to 50 kilometers an hour. High of +4. Wind chill will be -9 in the morning. And a look at your long range. Now, we were talking about 3 sunny days in our forecast. It's already now down to 2. I predict it'll be even less than that, by the time it comes. So Friday, chance of flurries or rain showers, 60% chance, and that's a high of 4. Saturday, they're saying it's going to be sunny and a high of 9. And Sunday, a high of 11 and Sunday and sunny. And then Monday, it used to say sun, but now it's a mix of sun and cloud, high of 12, also the same on Tuesday. And then 60% chance of showers on Wednesday, high of 13. Look at your satellite, a lot of activity, clouds just over the Great Lakes and area kind of thing, right over northern Ontario, central Ontario. Everything else is clear around it. And that's your Sudbury weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with a little bit of sports. Miles Shields, your comments after that and more. Stay tuned. So, good morning, Miles. How are you doing today? Oh, yes. You know what I had to do again? Same thing as yesterday. Good morning, Miles. I did forget. Yeah, it is what it is.
Okay, you got me turned on. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Everybody doing well out there, I'm sure. And watched the hockey game last night and was surprised in some areas. But you got to remember, they're all teenagers. They're playing hockey. The adrenaline gets going, and some of the hormones keep going, and it looked like Mississauga got a little bit off track with some couple of cheap shots, and
well, it was it started off the same as the game before, with Mississauga scoring the first goal again, right? So
power play goal. I thought the Wolves were really loose in their own end all night. I didn't like the way they played, except the third period. They tightened up quite a bit. But
yeah, there was a lot of turnovers again. I was noticing, or just a lot of misplay. Like they would go in and the Mississauga player wouldn't even really do anything. He was just there, and then there would be a missed pass or
awareness.
Something. Yeah, like they were
it seemed like me. It's like defense.
Like it was just
it seemed like me, just defensive space awareness, and they weren't really on their game in the first couple of periods, I thought.
No, it was kind of discombobulated play and whatever. And it was the game of reviews. The game went like really long because it seemed like every play that was called was a review. The first goal was a review.
Yeah. Half the time or more was reviews. Like they reviewed the penalties, and there had to be like 4 penalties that were reviewed.
Exactly. So 2 of the goals. So first goal, the one we talked about where Mississauga scored, it was a review. It was the Sudbury Wolves player pushed off the moorings. And so it was a goal. And then Sudbury scored, and it was reviewed, and it was deemed not a goal because they were offside. And it was interesting. The very person who scored was the one who was offside. So it was kind of like,
it was interesting how they always referred to our friend Randy Pascal all the time
on the broadcast,
on the reviews, because he said, "Oh, Randy says there's a camera right on the blue line." So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, Randy, as we know, is probably the person in Sudbury with the most sports knowledge. I would say local, especially like local, all the way up from the little wee guys all the way up to university and Sudbury Wolves, Sudbury Five, you name it. And then sports on top of it. Exactly. Right. But I know he's heavily involved all the time, and his passion is sports. And so local sports is something he's always done. And so he's very, hang on. I got to get rid of the sound. There we go. So he's the guy. He's the guy you want to get the information from. And he's at every game too, because he does the timekeeping or whatever. So if it wasn't for those, if it wasn't for the penalties, I don't think they would have. It would have been closer for sure. If it wasn't for the, especially the 5 minutes of 5 on 3. Yeah, 5 minutes, because
they scored 3.
Yeah,
scored 3 goals. Yeah.
If it wasn't for that, I say Sudbury loses that game. It was Mississauga's game.
Be close.
It was Mississauga's game to lose, just with their, they had the trap going, and it was really getting inside the Sudbury Wolves. They didn't have an answer for it. And if they would have kept their composure and didn't take those really bad penalties, it was just
a good goaltender too. Yeah,
an amazing goaltender. They should have scored 20 goals in 5 minutes. Like they're arguably the number.
Almost 50. I think the Wolves almost had 50 shots in the game.
Yeah,
they doubled up the shots on
Mississauga.
Yeah,
well, they're arguably the best offensive line in the OHL, and so you have 5 minutes of the best offensive line against you on a 5-on-3 for 5 minutes. You might as well not almost just have them all just taking shots without any defense in a way. But he made some outstanding saves, one of which he made that was then reviewed where his stick was behind the goal line. But
that goal,
that was so close. Like that would have, wow.
There's no way anybody saw that.
No,
real time. No.
It had to be reviewed. Anyways, and but if it wasn't for Mississauga making those really crucial, emotional, I think, mistakes, they even had the lead, I think, at the time, and they were acting like that. So I mean,
it was what was it, 3-2 at the time or something like that?
Yeah, it was 3-2,
and then 2-1. Oh no, 2-1. Yeah, sorry, it was 2-1 at the time.
I thought it was 3-2. 3-2.
They scored a goal. They scored a goal in the last couple of minutes in the second period, and then the Wolves scored to make it 5-3 in regular time. So.
Oh, see, okay.
That was the last goal, was the fifth goal.
Yeah. Well, we had our hands full last night. I saw the first 2 periods, and I know they didn't score anything else in the third, but you said the Wolves really tightened things up in the third, and so the score just stayed the same.
Yeah, I think from that third period, I think the next game, I think the Wolves will be a lot better, just because they learn from their, they should, if they learn from anything, is that they learn how to play that third period, right?
Yeah.
And back to the first game.
See, I think that's going to be the TSN turning point, where those 2 penalties that Mississauga took in the second period in this series, because really they could have came away with the W. They could have took 2 away from Sudbury in their home barn, which is hard to win in, and it would have been a tied series, and they would have had the momentum with that goaltender they have, which is phenomenal. Like he's, a goaltender can win it for you. And he's one of those goaltenders. And so they would have been, and then they would have had the momentum as well and the confidence. And with that trap they got going on, and Sudbury's having a hard time with it, they would have taken the series. So that's the TSN turning point. So thanks to the Mississauga Steelheads making these terrible plays and terrible decisions on the ice. Sudbury,
they may be paying for it in the long term, because I think those players will be at least looking at a suspension for at least one of those.
Yes,
those
I heard
penalties.
1, if not 2, exactly. That we'll have to see if they're going to get suspended.
They're both pretty blatant looking. Yeah. Be the slap in the back of the head.
Exactly. So their next game, they're on the road for the next game. and that will be this Friday. So Friday, 7 p.m. Catch that game right here on CKLU 96.7 or Eastlink on TV if you have Eastlink, or like Miles was saying yesterday, it streams on different streaming platforms. Now, we will have a game 6 for sure. No, we won't, because Sudbury could seal the deal in Mississauga. But if they don't, if Mississauga wins, they will come back on Monday and have game 6 here in town. So that's if Sudbury does not win.
Would be a bit of a break, yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, that's looking there. And then the Sudbury 5, as we said yesterday, will be in action this Saturday here in town against the Newfoundland Rogues. So maybe you can take Karen out to the game and she could go for Newfoundland. Well,
Yeah.
one of the only people in the crowd.
I don't like to be down on basketball, but I'm not much of a big basketball fan.
No,
Not even
should
the
get out.
majors.
You should get out at least
Yeah.
to one game, just to. It is a good atmosphere. It's fun. It's local
Well, basketball's got that show time
Yeah.
entertainment type of atmosphere, and
Yeah, it's fun and young people love it too. So, because of the Toronto Raptors, the success they had recently, a lot of young people and a lot of Canadian basketball players doing very well in the NBA and in NCAA. We have the best player in NCAA, right?
for Purdue,
I think he got the MVP for this last March Madness or whatever, but I could be wrong.
Well, no, they're still in it right now. Purdue, right? You're talking
Purdue.
about Zach Edey? Purdue,
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. He's a great player, and they lost last year in the first round, and so he's focused. He's very focused.
He's very big.
He's very big and very focused.
I think he's like the tallest. I think he's the tallest in the tournament.
Oh yeah. He stands head and shoulders literally above everyone else. So, okay, so that's Sudbury Sports, and we'll be back with people's comments, which we're looking forward to, news headlines, and more. And a little story about a squirrel. All right, we'll be back right after this. Yes, so I know a lot of people that are watching the show regularly know that we have some critters roaming around this part of the world in our place. Anyways, so we enlisted the help of 2 cats, which are a great welcome to our community here, and they've caught 2 little critters so far, which we're really grateful for. But we had a little larger of a critter wreaking havoc in our place for quite some time, and that was a squirrel. So every morning, my wife will wake up and she's like, I saw him again. He's like in the hallway or whatever. So he seems to come out at night and in the early morning, and then you don't see him at all during the day. So you kind of even forget about him or whatever. And then you're up early in the morning and then you'll hear a noise or whatever. Anyway, so today he was in a box on one of our storage shelves. And my wife came to me and said, he's in the box. Because we have an animal trap that we had set up, but he wasn't having any of it. He wasn't taking the bait, so to speak. So it wasn't working. And I guess we have this box with some plant food in it for gardening and stuff. And he was liking something in there. So he was in the box. So I said, go get the duct tape real quick. And so the box was luckily enough closed, and he just wedged himself in the box. So it made it easy for us to just quickly zip the tape on the opening of the box. And his hands are coming out and he's trying to get out, and I'm taping up the box. So I got the box right beside me here. He's right here beside me in a box because my wife's like, he's going to chew through the box. I was like, well, if he hears people around him, he probably won't do that just because, he's just going to hang tight, I'm sure. So I put him in another box. So that way, if he eats through the first box, he's got another box. And then I duct tape that one too. And on my way to work this morning, I'm going to find a nice clearing somewhere. Because at first I'm like, I'm going to do this guy in. He's wreaked so much havoc. And she's like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, okay. So I'm just going to let him somewhere in between here and work, which is a lot of forest area and stuff. But I don't want to let him close enough to the place because he knows how to get in here, right? So if he already got in once, he knows the way. He's probably been in and out of here more times than, planes come in and out of Toronto International Airport. So I'm definitely going to get him as far away from here as possible, open him up and let him go, and he'll have a happy life somewhere else. So that's why we were late this morning, everyone. We were 8 minutes late, but it took me 15 minutes to do that. So, I wasn't 15 minutes late at least. So we did our best. So good morning, Judy. Thanks for being with us first to the Facebook party. And, Jerome, good morning, everyone. ! Blessings from Espanola. From Denise, Belinda, good morning. And positive statement of the day. Be sure you put your feet in the right place, then stand firm. Hold your ground. Wow, that's awesome. And very timely as well. I'm sure the squirrel's not so happy I did that this morning. But yeah, I'm holding my ground for sure with him. And Marianne, good morning from Barrie. Out of power at the moment, and weather is not bad. But you were still able to get on and like and share the show, even with no power. Go ahead, Miles.
Yeah, there's a few out of power after the storms we had down, especially down south. And
yeah. It seems like every little thing now, we're out of power. If there's a lot of wind, oh, we're out of power. Oh, it's a lot of rain, some out of power. It's like, what the heck, Remember back in the day, we never went out of power? Like, at least in Sudbury. I don't know about Massey, but in Sudbury, you never experienced power outages.
I remember a few power outages when I was growing up, yeah.
Yeah.
But we were under Ontario Hydro. Well, any place in the country, you're under Ontario Hydro.
Yeah. Sault Ste. Marie, Sudbury, no hard. I don't remember power going out ever as a kid. No, Brian just arrived this morning. Sudbury campers, good morning. And Maurice, good morning with a smiley emoji. Much appreciated. Jerome says, none of them are worth what they are paid. And that's probably because I had a little rant about the sunshine list this morning. I'm sure that's what he's referring to. And we'll be talking about that coming up shortly. So much greed and deception over money and all levels of government. Sudbury should have came out to its people with some transparency. Yes. Transparency, that wonderful word, which is one of the pillars of Sudbury's. Basically, Sudbury has like 4 pillars that they're supposed to be on, and one of them is transparency, apparently. They're not doing such a good job with that pillar. So, thanks to Mike Parent for pointing that out, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Good day, people. Minik Schroeder. And a heart emoji. And Belinda also says, welcome to Canada. We're taking care of other countries. It makes you noble but supporting your own makes you an extremist. Interesting comment.
Yeah, they use words like nationalist. So yeah.
Yeah, like nationalist is somehow a negative thing in a way. It used to be good. Like you used to, when you were proud of your country, it used to be a good thing, right?
Yeah.
I've heard so many things. Go ahead.
That's a media spin, right? Yeah.
Heard so many things from our own prime minister. Very little about how much he loves Canada, mostly about how much he hates it, which is odd coming from your own leader, but odd. So.
Oh, he loves certain things. He loves his hair. So.
No, he loves his hair. He does, and many other people did too. That's what got him elected, apparently, through my own survey. Most people say it was because of his hair that they elected. Now look what you got. So there you go.
And he loves people who agree with him, so that's good too.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do. It's just like if you're vibing on a higher vibration, those kinds of things, you overlook those. But if you're vibrating on a lower vibration, it's kind of like, you like yes men kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Marianne says buses are all canceled here with an inch of snow on the ground. Poor kids. Yeah. And again, back in the day, how many times were your bus canceled, Miles, when you were growing up?
Well, only if we were snowed in for 3 days. Maybe.
Exactly.
I mean, I had to go to school when the roads were icy because I lived in the back roads, right? Mm-hmm. We put our skates on and met the bus out on Highway 17.
Yeah, you just skated on the roads. Exactly.
A couple of kilometers. Yeah, we had to skate a couple of kilometers down the road to the highway to get the bus to school.
Yeah, those days are gone.
That was a few times.
Yeah, those days are gone.
Yeah, they don't make.
Yeah.
They don't
But
want you getting hit by a car on the side road, I guess.
no, but that was our generation. But before our generation, it was the going uphill both ways barefoot or something to school. You
Oh
ever
yeah,
hear
yeah.
that analogy?
Both going uphill both ways to school. Yeah, yeah. And 3 feet of snow.
Yeah, that was our parents' generation. Okay, so good morning, Sudbury. Monique, good morning to you. And Leland says, a nation that is dependent on the whims of dictators for its energy simply can never be truly safe. Now, I've heard it a lot of times said that we have all the energy we need in Canada, like we're the third largest producer or something like that of
Probably, yeah.
energy, and yet we we buy it from other countries, and we're dependent on them for it, and we almost make it illegal for us to produce it in the in this age of it's bad to have energy. I guess someone should tell that to China, but they don't believe that same thing. And fortunately for some people, and unfortunately for some, those who have all the energy have all the power. No pun intended. So yeah, without power, you don't have power. Period. They're building.
China has reached all corners of the world now. When you're talking about South America and Africa, and they're really the power.
A friend of mine from Ghana, I was giving a ride home on Sunday. Says he's basically like a protected whatever. Like he's here in Canada. If he goes back to his country, he'll be killed by the leader there, because on Facebook he said, "What are we doing? Like, we sold our souls to China in Ghana." And basically the government came after him and we're going to kill him for saying that. And they did. Like, they basically took a lot of money from China, and now they owe them their everything, right? So China's just basically going to say, oh, you can't pay your debt? Well, give us your natural resources. Give us this, give us that. And basically they take over your country by giving you a loan you can't repay. Which might have been out of the playbook of the United States back in the day. But anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have loans to China as well. So Germany. There's a few countries, some European Union countries, so that we owe. Yeah.
But they've gone out with a very clear plan to go to most of the nations that they could and offer them money, like a loan.
Especially the third world countries, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so basically they were able to take over all those countries. So they get the natural resources afterwards, and then all the shipping lanes and things. So they have distribution. Yeah. They set up the Silk Road over there. So they have like a distribution network and whatever that's second to none, and all the latest technology with light rail and things like that. Where's light rail in Canada? Where's the nearest light rail in Canada,
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much you can talk about China. I mean, yeah. So I mean, their interference in our elections, they're just doing that inquiry right now. Yet Trudeau comes out and says, "Oh, it never changed anything." But they've proven now that there's at least 6 ridings in Canada that were influenced by the Chinese,
interfered with and meddled in the election,
interfered with and caused conservative. Chinese nationalist, Chinese Canadians that were running for the Conservatives, they come out with some false information on them,
and apparently it was on both sides too. They weren't just kind of helping out one side or another. Like it depends, right? They'll help out whatever their candidate, whatever color they are.
They attacked Chinese Canadians.
Yeah, exactly. And now they have police stations in Canada, Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, Chinese police stations, which should be illegal here, policing their own citizens in our country, kind of thing. It's like making sure they're good Chinese citizens in another country.
They don't call them police stations, though.
Yeah, I'm sure. What do they call them? Like a candy shop?
The Chinese don't call them police stations, though. They call them like a community. They're almost like they call them for their own community outreach, right?
Oh, outreach, yeah.
They're trying to be soft on it. Yeah.
I know all about the outreach for sure. You don't want to be outreached by anyone there for sure. Marianne, power came back on. Hey, right on. That's cool. Linda says, good morning from River Valley. Good morning, Linda. Thanks for being with us. Jerome, $600,000 per year for a shrink? That's Jude's mental. Yep, no corruption in council. They've become a laughing stock. $600,000 for a year? That's Jude's mental. Do you know what that's referring to at all, Miles?
I have no idea.
Okay.
If he could send us something, a link or something about that, that'd be great.
Oh, that's just mental. Sorry, I should have been looking ahead. That's just mental.
Oh, just nuts.
Yeah. So that's $600,000 a year for a shrink. Who the heck is?
I'm not sure what that number is.
Wow.
I hesitate to say, because of my position, I hesitate to say anything about the city. But yeah, there's a lot of
so maybe that's cumulative,
right?
The
sunshine.
Yeah, maybe that's cumulative.
Yeah.
Like
there's a lot of people. Yeah.
Like what
there's
they're
a lot
paying.
of people on the sunshine list. There's a lot of people on the sunshine list that are not management, put it this way. Like they could be healthcare workers that have worked overtime.
Yeah.
There's some of them that just barely made over 100,000 or whatever. They put them on the sunshine list, right?
Yeah. If you make over
some of them are
100,000,
legit.
yeah, exactly. You're on the list, regardless of your position. As long as you're a public servant kind of thing, you're paid by tax dollars. So Sheila, good morning. Thanks for being with us, along with Liette from Collingwood. Good morning, Claire. Belinda, also be careful. Aaron doesn't hijack your show. Okay. Sure. Oh, the squirrel. Yes, there's a squirrel emoji. Yes, hopefully he's still in the box beside me. Jerome says Vermilion Lake residents no power most of the day yesterday. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so a lot of comments about the weather and how we take it and things like that. So yeah, and energy is free in the first place, and here we are paying like tons of money for it. It's crazy. Energy comes from the sun like there's nobody's business. Like the whole world is energy. Energy's all around us. But yet when you harness it and you have to use it for something, you have to pay through the nose, and then it goes out on you, even though you're paying. Do you ever get a discount if your power goes out? Do the power company say, "Oh, sorry, you went 2 days without power, so we're going to give you a 2-day rebate"? But why not? Why don't they do that?
Or the cable.
Same thing. Exactly. Now, cell phone is a different story. I know if you complain to the cell phone company, a lot of times they'll give you a bit of a break.
They'll tell you to get a Generac.
Good luck with that too. That's not happening. So those, you have to wait like a year to get those installed. They'll come and give you a quote and then say, "Oh yeah, the next time we have availability is like a year from now." Okay.
Yeah.
Couple local stories here coming out. One from Sudbury.com. Behind the scenes spotlight on leaked documents spurs city review of salary policy. This is from our good friend Tyler Clark at Village Media, which is Sudbury.com. In each behind the scenes segment, Village Media's Scott Sexsmith sits down with one of the local journalists to talk about the story behind the story. Oh my goodness. So let's just see if we can check in with them here first. Oh, it's Tyler on here. So let's just see. We're going to go back and we'll just we'll check in with the Village Media podcast here. And here you go.
This is Behind the Scenes. I'm Scott Sexsmith. Leaked documents at the City of Sudbury have spurred the city to review its salary policy. Sudbury.com's Tyler Clark is here with more details on this story. Tyler, let's start with the specific factors that prompted the decision to review the city's salary administration policy for non-union positions. Take us back there if you can.
Yeah, well, it might have been my story, but it had to do with leaked documents revealing the fact that senior managers received a 6 to 8% additional pay increase last year, approved by the city manager using delegated authority that city council gave him only a couple months previous to that. And it's resulted in some backlash from some city council members who were surprised by the pay increase. This despite the city manager using delegated authority within the parameters that city council gave him. However, they were surprised by the end result of granting that authority.
Now, Tyler, will the involvement of the city's Auditor General impact the outcome of the review and subsequent policy changes?
Will it affect it? Well, maybe. I guess it'll depend. Well, the review is being undertaken by the city CAO, Ed Archer, and I think having the auditor involved just offers that separation from administration, like somewhat of a third party, I suppose, which is how they're supposed to operate. So I guess it just gives assurance that it's going to be a fair process.
What about challenges or obstacles that we might foresee in ensuring that the city's salary policy aligns with market expectations while also meeting the needs and expectations of the community and the city employees?
Okay. Well, I mean, the current process appears to. The current process is to ensure that they're at the 50th percentile, so like in the middle amongst comparator municipalities. But the review will see whether those comparator municipalities are fair, if the positions are apples for apples, and because the existing policy is from 2004, so it's 20 years have passed. So I think a review is probably due.
Any timeline, Tyler, on the review and when it will be completed?
I think probably this year, but I don't entirely remember. I can't imagine it'd be that long of a process.
Tyler, from a transparency perspective, what is the city of Sudbury obligated to tell the residents?
I suppose it's somewhat subjective as to what the city's obligated to tell the people, tell the general public. However, from the feedback we received to the initial stories, the fact that these pay increases were not made public is a point of contention. And there is nothing legally prohibiting the city from divulging what changes they make to pay groups. So it was a decision on the part of the city not to share this information. And that's the point of contention that I'm presently looking at.
Tyler Clark from Sudbury.com. Thanks.
So there you go. So, okay. So what do you think about that, Miles? Do you think it should be transparent if the upper management in City of Sudbury gets a raise?
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to make too many comments about it, but their motto is transparency, right? So
Yeah.
it should be.
I think
be,
you make a good point there. They're the ones who say they want to be transparent, right? So one way to do that is to be transparent.
Yeah.
And so what I was thinking of doing
Well,
was, yeah, go ahead.
I guess in the long run, you could say Archer. Like, if I want to go up the hierarchy, he's probably my boss too. So I mean,
Well, isn't he? Is he everyone's boss in a way, kind of thing? He's the CAO, right?
yes, yes.
He's the one with the
like in
purse
our
strings.
work emails.
Yeah.
We get emails from him all the time, right? So
He's the Judas of the city of Sudbury. He's got the purse. He's got the purse, kind of thing. So he's in charge of who gets the money. And that's what I think.
30.
Well, what I think is funny is these CAOs who are in charge of the money seem to be making a lot of money in all of our municipalities. So CTV, it was a story I wanted to share as part of this, but it's not available anymore. Anyway, so they went across little towns like New Liskeard and Cochrane, and these towns, they're making over $200,000 a year as being the CAOs in these small towns. Ed Archer's just 3,000 or 2,500 shy of 300,000 here in Sudbury. So if you look at him compared to these small towns, he's not really making all that much, but $300,000 a year, like what?
It's it is quite a responsibility when you think about it. It's probably like millions of dollars of a budget, right? He's got to take care of and responsible for.
Yeah.
And there really is no backing if they decide to fire him. He has nowhere to like, he's got no union backing or anything like that. So it's it's a lot of money that we're paying him, and
yeah.
it just there's. I wouldn't want a job like that. Let's put it that way.
So Mayor Doug Ford makes less than Ed Archer here in Sudbury, and Premier Doug Ford of Ontario.
Premier.
Yeah. Makes less money.
Yeah, not
than
more
Doug
than
Archer.
Prime Minister. He's gone up over 400,000 now with their raises. The PM.
Prime Minister has just over 400,000 now, which is So if
But
you take that, he's only $100,000 shy of the Prime Minister of Canada. I mean, the Prime Minister of Canada would have a lot of responsibility too for millions and billions of dollars.
Yeah. I'm not much on what do you call it, pay scales, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of, like, the AG can do all that comparisons and
Yeah.
whatever.
Exactly. Like
investigations.
what determines what's like, there's nothing that really determines it. It's not like a formula. It's not like, okay, a city has 100,000 for every 1,000 people.
Yeah, you can only
get paid
you
so
can only-
much, you know?
You can only compare to like cities, right? Like
Yeah.
Oakville or Guelph or Barrie, or
Yeah.
if you make those comparisons and you take about 5 or 6 of those and see what they compare.
And all they
that's
have to
a little
do is all
different story.
give each other, hey, let's have a Zoom meeting tonight and we have some issues to talk about. And they'll go, you know what? I think we all deserve a pay raise here. Like, what the heck? Like, we're doing all this work and we're only making $300,000 a year.
Well, they get together all once a year anyway in the Roma conference, eh? The municipalities of Ontario conference they have every spring.
Yeah, so they do talk. They do converse one with another.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 600, almost 700 people in Greater Sudbury on the Sunshine List. Let's see here. Headline, more than 600, but it's almost 700. So I don't know why they use that more than 600.
Yeah, there'd be a few workers. There'd be a few workers from essential services on that list too, from overtime, and deservedly so if they're working lots of overtime.
The annual public sector salary disclosure, as it is known formally, lists public sector employees across the province who earn more than $100,000. The list is made public. It was made public on Thursday. So again, if I'm a reporter, I like checking these things out, headlines and wording and spin and all these things. It just intrigues me. So if I was writing this story, I would say almost 700 people on the Sunshine List. That's just what I would do because the number is 688. I wouldn't say over 600 if it's 688. No. It's only 12 shy of 700. So,
you'd have to say over 650 if you're going to go.
Exactly. So just shy of 700 is what I would say. Just shy of 700 employees in the city are on the Sunshine List, which is what it is. But again, the Sudbury Star reporter chose to say over 600, which is fine. It just intrigues me. I don't know the reasons why they do what they do, but they do. That includes members of Greater Sudbury Police Service, whose budget falls under the purview of the municipality. Topping the 2023 Sunshine List was, who do you think? Topping it.
Would be
who do you think's at the top of the Sunshine List? Who did you say?
Well, it'd be in the hospital, for sure.
No.
No, they're not including the hospital? No.
It wasn't in the hospital. It was one year. It was Penny Sutcliffe who made over $800,000 during the pandemic.
Public
one
health.
Year. Yeah, because she was on a lot of Zoom meetings apparently. So she was given $800,000 of your money to be on a lot of Zoom meetings during the pandemic. Not sure why, but that was the reason we got.
Was Greater Sudbury Utilities?
Nope.
Ed?
Nope. You almost said it there. So we were talking about the gentleman already, who's on the top.
Oh, you mean the CAO? Yeah.
Yes. Topping the 2023 Sunshine List was CAO Ed Archer himself, who took home $297,000, so $3,000 shy of $300,000, as well as benefits package worth a little more than $11,000. Okay, next was Paul Pedersen, Chief Police of Sudbury, Greater Sudbury Police Service. He earned $281,000 and a benefits package of about $17,600.
Not much less than Ed Archer, no?
No. Tony Security, General Manager of Growth and Infrastructure, rounded out the top three with $247,000, and his benefit package was almost $10,000. So there you go. That's the people in the city that are making lots and lots and lots and lots of money. So then you got Steve Jacques, who's the GM of Community Development, earning almost $250. Kevin Folk, city's GM of Corporate Services, $250. 14 employers from Tom Davies Square earned more than $200,000 in 2023. Another 84 earned at least $150, including David Shellstead, Director of Engineering Services. He took home about $171,000 last year. Of the top 14, only 2 were women.
Ooh.
Ouch. Ouch. Doesn't look like our socialist ideology of inclusion and all these things are working in Greater Sudbury.
No.
Wow.
Liberal Party have to straighten them out. They
Yeah,
don't like
I
that.
think a lot of people gonna have to be fired. Ed Archer, come on, move over, make room for the new kind of DEI. You know what I'm saying? Come on. This doesn't look good on Sudbury. We're supposed to be pretty darn progressive here, and this looks like a lot of white men kind of at the top here. So what are we doing? Yeah. So we're not practicing what we're preaching. We're not practicing what we're preaching.
We need a new policy of inclusion. Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. At the highest levels. Here you got Mayor Paul Lefebvre earned $149,000 in 2023 and a benefit package of $10,700. Counselors are considered part-time, and the highest earners usually make about $50,000 due to committee and board participation. The mayoral position, however, is considered full-time. Now we know, and we have to mention, that salary was a lot higher when Brian Bigger was in. He was paid more than the mayor of Toronto, the highest paid mayor.
He was over almost 2, isn't he?
Yeah, he was over $200,000, $250, something like that. So one of the things Paul Lefebvre said he was going to do when he got elected was he was going to take a cut in salary. So got to mention good when good is good, right? So
yeah, well, that got him voted in, so for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's probably not in line at the food bank. It won't be anytime soon. But like 1 in 10 people are in Sudbury and Toronto. Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that Canadians and Sudburyans are feeling the pinch of. And when they see things like this, the perception of that and the whole thing is that, are we really in this together? You know what I mean? Are we all like kind of on the same, in the same boat?
Like I would hazard to guess, like 20 years ago, it was like 1 in 300 or even more a ratio that were going to the food bank.
Yeah.
You know?
I know.
But now the stats are out. It's 1 in 10. It's crazy.
Yeah. Record numbers. Food bank usage is way up, and there's a lot of reasons for that.
Food banks are getting down, and yeah.
I guess we need more traffic cameras, Mouse. We need more tax money.
Got to pay for that, yeah.
Got to pay for the food to give to the people because we can't earn it ourselves anymore, apparently.
No.
Which they call, what do they call that? What do they call that type of society? If the government's got to bring up all the money for everyone and buy the food for them.
It's definitely turning that way. Socialist, communist. Yeah.
Good job, Miles. You got it.
So that's going that way. We got to depend on the government more, right?
Yeah. And do you think that's by design? Do you think the government wants you to be more dependent on them?
I think there are people there that wanted to do good when they came in as a politician, but they're told they got to do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I see it the last 8 years, the more I'm convinced, there's somebody pulling the puppet strings all over the place here.
Yeah, because I used to say either it's incompetence or it's on
Yeah, by
purpose.
design.
Yeah, kind of thing, right? But it's way less and more. I'm not thinking the incompetent. Sure, they are incompetent too, but I do think it's more
Well, I
on
remember
purpose.
growing up. I remember growing up and knowing a couple of MPs and knowing them personally, and they, they had some good. They were good people. They had some good thoughts and what they wanted to help accomplish for the constituents, and of course they're retired by now, but they. I had a lot of confidence in what they were doing, and I'm sure there were a lot of people that get into it for that reason.
Yeah,
But
and I think
it
before is
changes
different
once
than
you get
now.
into
I think things have changed a
exactly.
bit from before. I think there's a concerted effort to bring our country. Like I said, we don't have light rail in Canada. Like in China, they're building, I think it's 2 or 4 coal-fired plants a week. 2 or 4, I think it's 4 coal-fired plants a week. Coal, the very worst burning fossil fuel that we have, the
Now,
dirtiest.
you see, I could get into it a lot because now I just saw the news last night that they're pushing natural gas out in the West because it's taken up a lot of our water resources.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that works.
I don't know. It's spin. There's a lot of spin going on and a lot of garbage that's not
yeah,
true.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
They say like there's a drought in Western Canada and we're losing our fresh water because of natural gas.
Sure, yeah. Everything. It's like they blame everything on climate change too, eh? Oh, you have your hair's growing too fast. It's climate change. Oh, look, you didn't buy pants in a long time. You need to go to the why aren't you buying
I don't know,
new clothes? Climate change. Everything.
Maybe I just
Doesn't
don't
matter.
understand the technology of it. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but it sure looks funny.
It does look funny. It smells. If it smells funny, it is funny. Okay, so thanks for being with us today, Miles. We're a little bit overtime now. That's because we started a little bit late. I'll have to rejig things here on CKLU. We have Earshot Daily coming up on CKLU. So we'll be back. Same time, same place tomorrow, God willing. Thanks, Miles, for being with us. That was a great discussion today, and I'm sure everyone enjoyed it as well as I did. So we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And thanks everyone for watching and listening. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Take care. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.